Yo, what is up, CFO gang? We are live and direct from the NFL draft. How y'all feeling out there, man? Happy draft day. First and foremost, man, let's make sure we're good because y'all know we on the road right now. Can y'all hear me clear or do I need to crank up a little bit? Let me know because we are live on Radio Row right now. Are we good? Audio's good. Audio's good. Audio's good. Looks like everybody's good, man. Yo, this is the day. This is the moment we've been waiting on, Cowboys Nation. We've been doing so many mock drafts, so many film sessions, all those long nights talking about this, talking about that. We are finally here. We are just hours away from the NFL draft. So let me know, who was y'all thoughts been? Because there's been conversations today. Now, I want to get something clear. Y'all know I am the tight end whisperer, right? Y'all know I love the tight end position. But when y'all hear all of this conversation about the Dallas Cowboys drafting the tight end, it ain't my fault. As Silta Shocker would say, man, it ain't my fault. I did not ask for any of this. There's been conversations this morning talking about Dalton Kincaid can possibly not be there or Michael Mayer. There could be a situation where the Dallas Cowboys could go Luke Musgrave. That ain't me. That ain't me. Y'all know. Y'all know that's not me, man. But listen, y'all, I'm excited. As y'all see, we are live here in Radio Row. We got a lot of stuff going on here in Kansas City. If you haven't checked it out, man, the scenery, the draft, Kansas City has done a great job. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from here. Like, it's a phenomenal stage. Like, it's massive. Like, compared to where we was last year in Vegas, it don't add up to what we're doing right now here in Kansas City. Like, Kansas City is going all out. They are putting on a show. So a lot of your favorite content creators are here. I saw Mark Holmes, my guy DMV's out here. Ashley Baker's here. So I'm running into a lot of people. West Coast is on the way as well. So having a good time out here in Kansas City, getting prepared for the draft. But this is the moment that we've been waiting for. So like I said, this is going to be the CFO pre-show for the draft, right? And then what's going to happen later tonight, I will be switching over, and then we're going to be covering all things NFL draft on WHB Radio here in KLKC Radio with my guy Darren Smith. But salute to everybody in the chat, man. How y'all feel? How y'all feel? If someone said y'all beat Vegas, oh yeah, Kansas City absolutely beat Vegas already, man. Like the draft, the way things already are, man. The draft is already outbeat what we did last year in Vegas. And y'all know I love Las Vegas, bro, but like it's not this. Like now, I will say this: it's not a lot of people out there yet. I went out there early. But, there's not a lot of people out yet. But it's only 5 o'clock here, so things are going to start to fill up, man. But just as far as the scenery goes, man, it's special, right? You get to see the fountains because Kansas City is real big on the fountains. We're the city of fountains. So you got the fountains and everything. Vegas wasn't Vegas was last year. That wasn't really a COVID year. But let's see here, man. Let's go ahead and get into the talk, man, because I see everybody. What's up, my guy Marcus, man? Since I see you, Tuck. Appreciate you, bro. My God, Bumpy Bars, man. The GOATs in the building, man. Salute to my God, man. I said audio's good. How are y'all feeling about draft day? Let me know. What is y'all thoughts? And like I said, man, Cowboys Nation, y'all know how if we gonna do it, we gonna do it big. So of course, it's not just gonna be me solo. I'm here on Radio Row, but anytime I come here, I'm bringing a fan with me. So I got my first guy.
What up,
my
man?
guy Nix, man. What's going on, bro? What's going on with you, man?
Oh man, just wrapped up a space. It's at a fever pitch right now. The draft is upon us. Here you are, Radio Row, if you will. Everybody, and look, it's everybody but Darnell Washington at tight end is who we're taking apparently.
Right.
I mean, my goodness. So yeah, man, it's a fun time right now, and it's the end of the process and all the work that everybody puts into it. And get their boards built and everything else. And now we get to see these young men, capture their dream of being in the NFL. And ultimately we get to see, hey, what's the competition look like? What's new to the table? So, I mean, it's just a fun time, man.
Yeah, it is a fun time, man. And like I said, y'all, if you haven't saw the videos that I posted yesterday, like, of course, I didn't really edit those videos. I kind of just posted them went directly off of my phone. But I got the chance to interview like Christian Gonzalez, Jordan Addison, Jalen Carter. I talked to Joey Porter. I talked to a lot of those guys. And the crazy part, Nick, is like we break these guys down so hard when it comes to draft season. But then once you get up and close to personal to them, you remember they're just kids. They're just kids. You know what I'm saying? Like Zay Flowers, everybody in their family has a cousin that reminds you exactly of Zay Flowers. You know, he just runs a 4.3. The same thing with Jordan Addison. So, you know, sometimes we kind of take that for granted. But I will say this, and I said it on Twitter, you know, being able to talk to Jalen Carter, they were pressing him about his character issues, but he stood there like a man. He answered it. He addressed it. So he really gained a few notches in my book. But let's talk about it, Knicks, man, because this is the talk all on Twitter since I woke up this morning. The Dallas Cowboys and tight end. Now, funny thing, right? Let's for those of you who are new. 2 years ago, me and my guy Knicks, we had this whole idea about drafting a tight end.
Yeah.
In Kyle Pitts. And man, we got stones through, like we were the conductors of the Kyle Pitts train, right?
Yeah.
And so here we are with
we got the shirts to prove it. And we got the shirts to prove it.
The Pitts train. We had shirts, we had everything. We were part of Pitts Mania, right? But here we are 2 years later, and the Dallas Cowboys are talking heavily about taking the tight end. Right. Knicks, is it a smoke screen, or do you think something is really there when it comes to tight end?
You know, and throughout the process, I'm like, look, right, okay, we have, you know, Ferguson and Hendershot. Not that you don't need to add somebody to the position, right?
Right.
But what happens here is, like, do I need to do it at 26?
Right.
And, you know, man, we go through the process going all the way back to the combine and tight end, Don Kincaid, you know, and those things happen. And we've seen, you know, who they've interviewed, and we've watched it kind of ebb and flow go up and down. And now it's at a fever pitch, as I talked about early on. I mean, it's everybody, even Sam Laporta. We're seeing Sam Laporta talk and Musgrave talk.
It was funny because, like I said something this morning, I was like, well, damn, Luke Musgrave's getting tied to the Cowboys. I'm like, Sam Laporta can't get no love. And then James Slater come out and reported that the Cowboys, like, all right, there we go. All right,
there it is.
Yeah,
everybody but Washington, which if we go back to 105 through the fan, right? And we go over there with our guy Stephen Jones, and what he described was very much Darnell Washington.
Right.
So, yeah, it's to me, and I look at the totality of it and what they've done thus far throughout this talent acquisition period, right? Free agency this offseason. Nobody's been able to name what they were going to do. Right. And the moves have been very different.
Right.
So I think throughout this process, we very much have the color by letters of how they handle the draft and what they do over the X amount of years that we watched them.
Right.
And this week, just in my head, I'm like, man, they handle things a lot differently this year. Maybe they're going to do something a little bit different in this draft as well. And boy, even though last draft, going back to that conversation then, we knew it was guard. Now, we saw Green go. We knew it was a problem. They still ended up with a guy that was going to play guard for them and even though they tried to, Smith, even though they wanted to trade down. You know, so, man, tight end's a smoke to me, dog. That's where I'm landed. I think it's smoke. I think it's McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, it feels it's too loud. It's just too loud for me. You know, it's like a lot of the times, Cowboys Nation, when you hear a lot of loudness surrounding a pick, the Cowboys rarely go in that direction. Like I said, I had this conversation on Twitter the other day, Nick. Like, I couldn't think of another prospect where it was extremely loud and they went and that was the guy. Like every time, either we get sniped for it or we just passed on them. So it's just way too loud with this tight end thing. Like I said, y'all know that I love the tight end position. We started all this.
My position, I played. I love tight ends.
Like I said, well, just like a disclaimer, Knicks, we started the Pitts thing. We started the Pitts thing. This year ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's keep me out of this because I know if they draft Luke Musgrave, Cowboys fans like, see, this is why I don't want no tight end tuck. I'm like, hey. Whoa! This is not the guy.
We didn't say Luke, okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. We didn't say Luke. Yeah. That's the one. That's why I said the space. Boy, we get a 26 as Luke Musgrave. I'll be like, all right, man, I'm out.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, you know, salute to my guy DMV. I just ran into him outside the draft experience, and we had made a pact this year. Like we were going to do so much work when it comes to draft content that we didn't want to boo the pick. Right? We didn't want to boo the Cowboys pick. Mm-hmm. But if it's Luke Musgrave, I'm not gonna boo. I'm not gonna boo, but I'm gonna sit there a little dumbfounded, Knicks, and be like, all right,
grit the teeth a little bit.
All these notes I got on this, I need to throw the whole thing in the trash. But I give up. No, I ain't doing no more.
They didn't even meet with him, right? I mean, here's the other thing about it, right? I mean, they didn't have official 30 visit or nothing. It'll just be off the rails. Good. If it's going to be tied in, so be it. And I said, you know, if we're going through the wow, to bring this thing full circle. The very first guy was Kincaid. Okay, it ends up being Kincaid.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, you know what? From the very beginning, they were transparent that they threw everything else at it or whatever the
Right.
case may be. But I don't know, man. I kind of feel like it might be defense early. And kind of for what we talked about before,
Uh-huh.
simply the offensive positions are a little bit deeper than
Mhm.
than what the linebacker talk is or the
Right.
edge talk is.
Right.
So if you want to go get a difference maker and you need to address this in defense, maybe they go early. Maybe
Right.
Will McDonald. Look, I know you're big on him. One of the first guys I looked at. Drew
Right.
Sanders, who can give you a little bit of linebacker and edge rush if you need
Right.
it. So it's intriguing to watch how this board falls. We're seeing Sanders flop the board now. Now Porterland's there. Oh,
Right.
if Sanders goes now, Porter gets pushed down. Could the Cowboys say no to Porter then?
I agree. I agree. Well, salute to my guy. Smoke one for you, man, with the $50 super chat. I
Oh, let's
appreciate you,
go.
man. The J Tuck here is my money for the night, just like Scott and Law. You next fan, we about to make history. Just watch. And I don't mind waiting. I love it. Let's go, Cowboys. Man, I appreciate you, fam. You are next. And like I said, man, when you guys see what we're doing now, Nick's remember, Nick's remembers, right? The very first draft show that we did was the 2021
Mhm.
when it came to the Micah Parsons pick and the whole Kyle Pitts, and just look how far we've gotten thus far. And so, like I said, you
You
guys kind of
you
keep
wanna
pursuit.
you wanna wait? You just gonna skip over the second round of what happened on that video?
I,
You
I
don't
don't,
want
I don't, I
you don't
don't, I
remember?
don't,
You don't
I don't,
remember?
I don't, I don't think the Cowboys had a second round pick that year. I think they skipped it right there with Micah Parsons,
Uh,
Osa
if you
Digizua.
can, hey, look, if you can
Uh,
ever go on my channel or his channel and go
man,
find it, just go see when we took Kelvin Joseph instead of Asante Samuel Jr. and you will see a dejected J Tuck.
I was over that draft. As soon as they put in that car for Kelvin Joseph, I was done. Like I didn't want anything else to do with the draft show. Like
Yeah,
I went, got some food, I sat there and let you guys have the rest of it. But you can't look back. Like granted, we can say that Tuck was right about Asante
right,
Samuel. It was clear as day, right? But
right,
hopefully that won't be the case. Now, let me ask you this, Nick. You mentioned defense, and this is a side of
right.
the ball not a lot of people are talking about, right? Because as I said, like, granted, it was AI, right? But based on Mike McCarthy's history, he typically likes to go offense in the
Right.
first round. You mentioned Drew Sanders. You also mentioned Will McDonald, who
Yeah.
Dan Quinn's eyes lit up, and I just saw like, bro, he loves this kid, right?
Mhm.
You don't travel to Iowa State just for the hell of
Yeah.
it. Like you go there because you definitely like something. So
Purpose.
when you look on the defensive side of the ball, what are some prospects you should keep your eyes on when it comes to the Cowboys?
Yeah, I just think linebacker they had to address it, and I talked about this going into even before they brought LVE back. I was like, they got a double dip, but they got
Mhm,
LVE back, and they haven't added anything else.
mhm.
And you have Clark, and I'm excited to see Clark in year two. Don't get me wrong.
Right,
We have the Jabril Cox. We're waiting.
right.
We're waiting, but we didn't see nothing. I mean, Luke Gifford had more defensive, reps last year than Cox, and then I mean, good luck after that. Malik Jefferson back on
Mhm,
the futures deal, whatever the case. So, I think at that standpoint, you got to look at linebacker. The big stack that I'd like to talk about is going to be your Henleys, the
mhm.
Simpsons,
Right.
Sanders, and Jack Campbell. But those are guys you probably got to get there in the first two rounds. And outside of that, maybe into the Dorian Williams talk. I like Ivan Pace.
Mhm.
However, the measurables, I don't think the
Right.
Cowboys would draft him because of the measurables. It has great
Mhm.
game to him from Cincinnati. So linebacker to me, whether it's not at 26, you got to really start thinking about that at 58 and what they need to add to them, add to this team in general, for sure.
Yeah, so I agree. The linebacker room definitely needs to be fixed, right? Because like we don't know what Jabril Cox is going to be off the injury. Like we only saw that small little glimpse of it
Mhm.
in that Giants game on the hit on Daniel Jones. But
Right.
is there a linebacker you would think would be worthy at 26, or will you consider that position just be a full out reach? Because it's like I'm looking at the position. You have Trenton Simpson out of Clemson, high motor
Mhm.
guy, has the size, has the upside. You also have Drew Sanders, who I love, is more of an edge rusher, but converted to linebacker. But then you also have Jack Campbell. And Jack
Yeah.
Campbell, like I said, me and him fought all draft season. One moment I hated it. It was a
Next
very
one.
toxic relationship when it came to me and Jack Campbell. But
Mhm.
for the most part, would you consider taking a linebacker at 26?
The only linebacker that I would consider would be Drew Sanders. And
Right, Drew.
again, it's just because interchangeable piece. He can play linebacker. He can give you edge work as well too.
Hmm.
It can free up Parsons to do more things as well. And
Hmm.
now backwards hat Dan Quinn can really get tricky and
Right.
do some things outside of that. No, I wouldn't. That'd be the only guy I would consider. And that kind of depends on what's on the board and how things have fallen so far.
Right, right. Because even when it comes to Drew Sanders, like I said, he's not really a linebacker. He's more of a weapon that you can kind of
Mhm.
unleash. And I know a lot of people's been talking about, okay, we need to protect Micah Parsons. I mean, offensive lines to protect Dak though, but how do we protect Micah Parsons? Drew Sanders is more built for defensive end punishment than Micah Parsons kind of
Six
is. So
five, baby.
he can kind of take some of that away from Micah. So I would consider that. But another sleeper name who's actually here in Kansas City, and I met him yesterday, and the guy is built like a tank, is Keon White. Like Keon White, he's a big edge setting defensive end. But let me ask you this, Nick, because I've been going back and forth, and I ask a few people here in the house, like, how do you think teams are going to view the older 24-year-old, 25-year-old prospects? Or do you think since the Cowboys are at 26, it's really not going to make that much of a difference? Because you're talking about the Kincaid, the Keon Whites, even Will McDonald's going to be 24. So it's like, would you go ahead and take that risk? Or do you want more of a younger guy that can give you a little bit more youth and value?
Yeah, I mean, it matters. You're right. I mean, look, these guys look at your hand size, feet size,
right,
everything in between. What's your 10-yard split? How tall can you jump, or how high can you jump? So yeah, they take
Jalen has some other measurements today too.
Yeah, well, yeah. Shout out to Jalen Carter. But neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, obviously it factors in for sure. But now we're kind of in that COVID. These extra years added on.
Right.
So I don't think it's going to matter as much as it would in future drafts, just because of the situations, what happened with extra years with COVID and everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of changes things. And the other side of that too that changes is we're just talking about, and specifically in the first round, right? And what the prospects look like. There's more second round guys than first round guys, so it will matter, but it won't matter as much as in other drafts or drafts moving forward, just because of the specific situation that we're in when it comes to COVID. And there's a lot of guys that you were just talking about. There's a lot of guys in that.
Right. Yeah, they're going to be a little bit older, but like I've been trying to say, Cowboys Nation, the Cowboys are in a good situation. Finally, Knicks. Because finally they handle business in the offseason. We've been beating the desk for like, go get a free agent. Like this isn't, you're going to get an Anthony Barr type. So we've done a lot of good work up front.
Due diligence, baby.
Yeah, we did our due diligence, right? We are not relying on the draft on this season, which is a good point. Because this time last year when I was in Vegas, I'm like, we got to hit. And I feel like that's why Cowboys fans felt so deflated when we took Tyler Smith and then Sam Williams and then Jalen Tolbert. It was just like, are these guys going to be to help us this year? As of right now, the way this roster is constructed, a lot of guys are just going to be rotational bodies unless they address the offensive line. That's the whole other conversation. Now, here's what I'll say, Cowboys fan. We've been hearing Darnell Wright. Listen, I'm here. Y'all see him in the radio row. Every table is talking about Darnell Wright. He's gone, y'all. He's gone.
Kiss the baby.
Yeah. He's gone. I was like, man, everybody, Darnell Wright is echoing, right? So Darnell Wright is gone, but he probably have Broderick Jones maybe, because I was talking to a few Bears guys from the Bears radio station. They're more thinking about addressing offensive line. So their conversations between either Paris or Peter, which is like, okay, whatever. You really can't go wrong with that pick. And then I know there are a few other teams were talking about, Darnell Wright. I think the Saints guy was talking about Darnell Wright. So a few teams are talking about Darnell Wright. He's off the board. Now, I would say here in Kansas City, the conversation is about Anton Harrison. So would you go with the offensive tackle, quote unquote, just a pure tackle? Because I don't think Anton Harrison is going to be a left guard. He's going to be more your tackle. Would you go tackle, or do you kind of just reach back just a little bit and just go get that guard and just be like, screw it, we got Steve Avila or we got Osiris Torrance, and we're just done with it?
Yeah, this is the thing I talk about tremendously is, man, if we had that answer and what the Cowboys' plan was, on White, and especially for the offensive line, forget their overall plan, what they want to accomplish in the draft, right? But what exactly do they have that they're trying to accomplish with this offensive line? I think that gives us the keys a little bit more, and even more so next year, right? Where Tyron's going to be, whatever happens this year. Of course, Steele's coming up to get paid, and then let's not forget, Tarbiage is on a last year of his contract. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get some center guard flicks? Or are you trying to get some tackle guard flicks? Or do you just want a traditional tackle? So if the Bergeron from Syracuse, I start thinking about a little bit. The JMSs of the world. I don't like JMS personally as guard. I think
John Michael Smiths. So would you? So I'm not really a fan of John Michael, but like you said, we got Tyler B coming up on contract. Would
Right.
that kind of be a stash
Mhm.
guy? Like, because
And then
like I've
here
been
comes Steve Avila because
right.
Avila's the guy
He could play
that guard
guard
center
center.
and tackle. Now he's a guard center in the league, but now you
Right.
protect yourself. So if you kind of quote unquote reach and you went with Steve Avila, well, now
Right.
you protect yourself at guard and of course possibly or potentially center the following year as
Right.
well.
Right. So when you look at the way this roster is constructed, Nick's like, do you see, all right, this is a need that we have to walk out with something from this draft, like early, like we have to address it? Or are you feeling like I'm kind of feeling like, if we don't get a guard in the first 2 rounds or the first 3 rounds,
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine because I know there's like a sitting Sal that you can possibly go get, or a lot
Mhm.
of Cowboys fans' favorite when it comes to Antonio Mafia that you
Yeah,
can kind of plug in.
Mafia, baby,
Yeah,
it's
or, or,
real.
or even his counterpart in John Gaines out of UCLA.
Mhm.
So it's like, would you go ahead and do it that early, or would you kind of just post up and sit where
Yeah,
you are?
I mean, I like the idea of picking at 26 and coming up in the second round is where I want to see maybe get
Okay.
aggressive there. So if you do happen to pass on, say, a Avila and go get whoever here in the first, and then maybe make that move,
Hmm.
I kind of like that. I think the Cowboys are in a good place because they've done more so than ever. They got two difference makers, right? And Gilmore, and then of course over here in Brandon Cooks. So you got solidified difference makers, which makes you feel better about the equation. But boy,
Hmm.
I just go back to the San Francisco game.
Right.
Defense did enough. We didn't have enough playmakers. If the Cowboys can go accomplish, and we're talking about early, not throughout the entire draft, but we're talking about just 26, man, if the right playmakers on the board there, I would feel pretty good about going that way more so than any other position.
I agree. I agree. Well, hey, my God, Knicks, man, appreciate you for sliding in. For the people
Yes,
seeing you
sir.
for the first time, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Your guy Nix Nix over there on Twitter, man. Make sure you go follow me that way. And of course, tonight we'll be live. Pick Six Sports YouTube live reaction. Space is going to be in the building. Dom's going to be in the
Peace.
building. Spoonie as well too. We'll have some drop ins now. Some people that's going to come around and check it out. So I do have to run. I got to go over to BLS. I'm doing some
Right.
stuff for her too as well. Brother, if
Yeah.
you need anything else, or if I get it wrapped
Hey,
up, I'll
appreciate you,
sit
man.
back over this
Y'all
way,
know,
brother.
y'all know we'll be here, man. Thanks, my guy,
Radio
man.
row.
Oh,
Y'all be safe.
before
Oh
I
yeah.
let you go, who's the pick? Who's the pick?
Oh, there's a pick.
Who's the pick?
All right,
Who's
all
the pick?
right, all right, all right, all right. Cowboys traded for Bijan Robinson. I'm out.
All right, peace. All right,
Let me
my
make
guy.
it saucy before I leave.
All right, yeah. They gonna clip that and hold you to it.
Oh yeah, hey man, it's a little tongue in cheek, man. I'm just
All
having
right,
fun here.
all right. Appreciate you, my guy. All right. So yeah, he's straight up for BS. So let's see here. JSN looks clean. Okay, man. He was already my favorite receiver in the draft, but man, his stock just doubled in my book. Yeah, JSN, man, he's gone. So like, and that's the hard part, y'all. Where we're sitting in the way this draft currently is, a lot of y'all favorites, they gone. Like they are gone. Like honestly, y'all can probably kiss the Bijan fantasy. Kiss that goodbye. JSN, probably kiss that goodbye. More than likely, y'all can kiss the Zay Flowers fantasy goodbye. So a lot of your favorite prospects we've been talking about that y'all been getting in these mock drafts over and over, like we got to get this guy. You can kiss him goodbye. Now there is an interesting guy who's starting to kind of circulate, and you're hearing a little buzz. And I got to interview him yesterday, and that is Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State, the cornerback. So what I was kind of telling everyone, so it's my guy Skywalker still is from A to Z Sports. He was talking about that this morning. Is that okay? Remember in 2021, the Micah draft, right? We had J.C. Horn, we had Patrick Surtain. You had them fly off the board. The Cowboys really got sniped. We traded back. We got Micah. Y'all know the story, right? But Caleb Farley didn't go until further in the later rounds. So there could be a situation where you have Christian Gonzalez maybe go first with Devon Witherspoon, whatever your cup of coffee is or whatever your preference is, right? And then could that push some of the corners down a little bit closer to you? And what they're starting to hear is a lot of the conversation is teams, even though he had the size limitations, he's just a pure ball hawk. So could you have where Emmanuel Forbes maybe is the third corner off the board, and you could be in the situation where Joey Porter Jr. is just sitting there. And here's what I'll say about this. I know we just got Stephon Gilmore. We like what we have in Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland. But if you have the caliber a player and Joey Porter Jr. sitting right there, you get them. And here's what I've been trying to say, Cowboys Nation. The Cowboys, they go off their board. Like, they go off of their board. They always say, y'all remember Jerry Jones holding up the draft board yesterday and saying, this is where our board, this is where Tyler Smith was. Now, I think some of that was kind of some cap. I think he was lying a little bit, but traditionally they do go off their board. And so if you're looking at from the Cowboys lens, right, I don't see, and Will McClay, I trust a situation where some of these names, these offensive guards, some of these tight ends, there's zero chance that they are graded higher than Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. So if he falls, oh, by absolutely, we're throwing a party. We're throwing a party if the Cowboys pull out Joey Porter Jr. because y'all know that second round pick that I kind of skim over in 2021. He up out of there. Special teams guy, the special teams rap, he up out of there, right? So I would definitely love Joey Porter Jr. Now I don't see it happening because it's a passing league. Corners have values, but it could be a situation where Joey Porter is pushed into range where the Cowboys could strongly consider it. My guy Mike says, hold on, clicked on the wrong button. Y'all know we on the road. Trade up to 15 to get Darnell Wright. Give him a second for next year. Cowboys traditionally don't get that aggressive. And Stephen Jones even said, like, he was like, typically, if you're going to move up and be that aggressive, is for a quarterback. I doubt they would do that for Darnell Wright because we got a Terrence Steele. They talked about Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith coming back. They even talked about Matt Waletzko playing less tackle, and the list goes on and on. So I don't think they're going to be that aggressive. But yo, like I said, it's draft day. And when it's draft day, baby, we got to bring out the big dogs. And there's no bigger dogs than the Mr. 100,000 man himself. Law Nation, the building. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. I just wanted to jump in and pick your brain. How's it is out there, man? How does it feel out there?
Man, it's lovely, man. The weather is nice. And like I was telling everyone, Law, being there at Vegas last year, Kansas City definitely outdid their rivals, man. That state beautiful. It's big. You know what I'm saying? Like it's they definitely put on the show, got the fountains and everything going on. So it looks a lot more pleasurable than what it was last year. It was like last year in Vegas. And like I said, y'all, it's draft day. We dropping bangers after. I got another guest, man. Y'all know how we do. We drop another banger, man. My other brother, man, Vach Lombardi. What's going on with you, big Vach? Oh yeah, hit the war chant. Hit the war chant, man.
Appreciate you. Law Nation, what's happening? What's good with you,
bro? What's good?
What's good? What's good?
Now I know what that chant actually means, man. We good, Vach. So Law, I'm gonna start with you, man. There's been a lot of talk this morning about the tight end position, this and that. Do you think that that's a smokescreen, or is there really something there where the Cowboys are considering drafting a tight end?
Man, you know what? When you hear Brian Broaddus and you hear Jay, those guys are real close to the Cowboys. They're not like this. They like this. And they are saying, like you said earlier, about the aspect of them staying true to their board. And if they have Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, if they have those guys up there, I'm thinking that they are letting us know softly that they're going to draft one of those guys. So I'm thinking of a world that the Cowboys with the 26th pick will be a tight end.
Now, we've gone back and forth on this, Law, on the Final Word Draft Show. But would it make sense? Like, would you understand it, or would you be kind of confused about why? You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that Jake Ferguson and Hendershot are the future in Dallas.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe it could be different in-house. So what would be your thoughts if we actually took a Dalton Kincaid?
I think that they are looking at it like they don't want to fall into the sophomore slump, right? And we only seen a spoonful of games with Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot. So that's leaning on a ton of potentials versus something that's tangible. Granted, I think the world of Jake Ferguson. I think my guy Vach Lombardi can say the same, right? As far as what he can bring to the table. But the Cowboys just don't want to go in there blindly, and they want to make sure they cover everything. And they're razor blade thin at tight end, so why not, get the best tight end in the draft? And that's how they probably looking at it.
I can see that. So my guy Vach, man. So let me ask you about the tight ends. When you look at for what's available, because you do some of the best draft content in our community, do you see much separation from Jake Ferguson and Hendershot from a Michael Mayer? Like if let's say if Henny and Ferg is at 8, where would you kind of grade Michael Mayer? Does it give the Cowboys that much of a boost? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on what mode you're in, right? And if you ask the Cowboys, are you in win now mode or are you still in build the future mode? Based on the off-season trades that we're in, I would guess that we're in a win now mode. And if we're in a win now mode, we really don't see young tight ends day one really taking over the league like that, or just any first-round tight end taking over day one at all. If we're in a win now mode, I would guess that the year two of Ferguson and Hendershot, I would guess that would be better than a rookie tight end coming to play for you day one. I think all this is nonsense and cap.
Stop the cap. Yeah, me too.
Because we know the type of tight ends that they like. They have a track record. They even come out and say it. They explain to us, hey, they want this true Y, in line, in out, blocker with upside to catch passes, with upside as a wide receiver. That don't sound like Kincaid.
Right.
That don't sound like Musgrave. That halfway don't sound like Laporta. It sounds like Michael Mayer. It sounds like Darnell Washington. It sounds like Tucker Kraft. It sounds like Schoonmaker. Those are the guys that it sounds like. And we know that this front office, this coaching staff, ever since Mike McCarthy took over, it's all secretive. That, year one, we're in the blue and white game and the numbers are hidden. It's all secrets with us. We didn't know.
Right. I remember that game.
Right.
We didn't know Tyler Smith was going to be a thing till Tyler Smith was a thing. I'm not saying that nobody lying. I'm not saying that no reports are a thing, but we did hear reports to say, hey, I don't see this world where Donovan Wilson getting re-signed. Then he's re-signed. I don't see Leighton Vander Esch getting, and then he's re-signed. I'm just not living in this world to where we could just believe what the reports are, because that's not normally what this front office is. Hey, guys, we're looking at Kincaid, Musgrave, and Laporta.
Right.
Will McDonald is the first pick. Stop playing with me, man.
Ooh. So I know, and salute to my guy Vach, did a great interview with Will McDonald, man. And I'm high on Will McDonald. Like me and Vach are like this when it comes to him as a prospect. But let me ask you this, Vach. Are you concerned with the age of Will McDonald? That's the only thing I would be like, all right, would they go at 26? Or do you think it doesn't matter? 24, 25, it just is what it is. He's going to be one of the best defensive players available.
I typically have a rule when I'm watching, draft, I'm watching film, break it down, process. The older the players typically are, the better they are. That's why these like Senior Bowl guys come in day one, they're really better because they've been playing football a little longer. So now we get the option to get some 5-year guys, some 6-year guys. I mean, yeah, you could look at the age, but if we're trying to win now, who cares? Like the earlier you can help this team, that's really what matters to me. So, Will McDonald, and y'all go watch, shameless plug, but it's said no.
Go watch it, man.
Go watch it,
Go watch the interview, but if you listen to him talk, he doesn't sound like a young pass rusher. Most young pass rushers like to run down the middle of people. They like to wing it. They like to, just go as they go. Will McDonald has a plan for everything that he does, and that sounds like a very seasoned football player to me. So if he's 25 years old, look, if you can give me 9 sacks, if you can out-sack Dante Fowler, I don't care how old you are, year one, I got you for 5 for cheap. We'll talk about that later on down the line.
Yeah, and I think when we both kind of liked about Will McDonald, like you said, Vach, we saw a complete toolbox. Like he can do it all, and that spin move is versatile. Like he playing that inside a little bit, so he has that versatility. And like I said, Dan Quinn's eyes lit up when he saw Will McDonald. Like I said, it's the same feel last year when he looked at Sam Williams. So that's why I'm kind of like, okay. But you talked about weapon, and Law, I'm gonna kick this over to you because I remember you made on the Final Word draft, so you made your prediction. Do you think the Cowboys could consider going wide receiver? You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, Quentin Johnson was a name. Even though he wasn't invited, quote unquote, to the NFL draft, he's here. I seen him.
Did you get his autograph? You've been talking about him.
I didn't do all that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But he's here. So, would you think the Cowboys could consider maybe a Jalen Hyatt, maybe a Quentin Johnson, maybe a Jordan Addison, if they were to kind of slide?
When you talk about upside and you talk about potentials and everything, I think that Quentin Johnson embodies that. I think that the Cowboys should take a Quentin Johnson over any of those tight ends that we mentioned earlier. So yes, it could be a situation and scenario. If he's there, then why not get that true X wide receiver that can give you some wiggle room and some inside play at slot. So yes, that means that everybody has been banging on the table to get my guy Michael Gallup up out the paint. Then that's clearly a situation. Whereas now you're heading into week 1, week 2 with the possibility of CD Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and now you have Quentin Johnson there with the rotations of sliding Michael Gallup in to be a relief pitcher, as they say. So I would like that opportunity, but in the worlds of the Cowboys, I think that they like their guys, right? They're seasonal guys, and I don't think that will be the situation now. I do like the idea what Vach said with the defense, because I'm team defense, but I think that the Cowboys clearly should go out the offensive line, go out the core. Don't go with the flash in the pan. Go with that grit, that grimy, that nasty guy, because 4 out of the 5 guys on the offensive line was moved around last season, and no one is buying that for the 2023 year. We need somebody to be solid on their front 5.
So I agree, and I said this numerous times. Like, I'm going to this draft with the beat San Francisco mindset. I don't care what they got going on with quarterback. I'm tired of getting punched in the mouth. So Vach, when it comes to the offensive line, who would be that guy that's like, your 49ers bulletproof guy that can come in day one and just fully uplift this offensive line?
Uplift the offensive line. I mean, I don't think the guys that can do that are going to be there. Darnell Wright was this conversation once upon a time, but I don't think
that's over.
Yeah.
I just say everybody in here is Darnell Wright. It's echoing. He gone.
If he's there, I'm not going to complain. Just take him and move on with your life. But I don't think there's a guard that we're going to get at 26 that's going to uplift everybody. I think maybe second round we're going to be looking at guards. So hopefully if Steve Avila is there, hopefully if John Michael Smith is there, I think guys like that can kind of plug and play. And the best thing about left guard is that this offensive line isn't a bad offensive line. You just kind of gotta, hey, I get the combo with Tyler Smith now. Hey, cool. All right, I get the be help guy with Tyler Biadasz. So I don't think that this one guy can uplift the whole offensive line, but all you got to do is be better than Connor McGovern. If you can be better than Connor McGovern, we should be good to go.
Hey, and let me ask you this though, before you go into that, Vach, is to Vach. Do tackles make better guards in the NFL?
No, because
that theory there.
Nah, they play two, like the two jobs are nothing the same, and people sometimes think that guards are bad tackles. Nah, those are two different fights. Guards is more so of a I take a step and now we're fighting. Tackle is okay. I'm timing you. I'm measuring you. I'm fighting your counters. I'm making my own counters. It's just a different type of fight. So when we look at a guy like Skoronski or something, right? I don't think he's a guard because I don't think that he's powerful enough to dig big dudes out of B gap or these nose guys out of A gap. But I think he's a good, open space fighting guy. But if you take a dude like Bergeron from Syracuse, Bergeron wants to wrestle you. So he'll more likely be a guy that'll be a guard for you. So when we talk about Darnell Wright just happens to be a guy that can wrestle in the phone booth and he can play the measurement game. He can play the open space game, that kind of thing. But some guys can play tackle and can't play. I don't think DeJuan Jones would be a good guard because his arm length wouldn't translate very well to the inside game to me, So it just, depends on the guy.
The reason why I said that, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Reason why I said that, because I'm looking at like 8 tackles right now. And those 8 guys going to be pretty much from the philosophy there. Will they be gone before the 26th spot? And I'm going to just name them out, and I know you're pretty good with this. You got Skoronski, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright, Anton Harrison, Matthew Bergeron, and DeJuan Jones. You think all of those guys are going to be gone before the 26th spot?
Bergeron, DeJuan, and Anton Harrison, I think will be available for you, but I think those are guys that are probably going to float more into the 30s and 40s range. Now Bergeron is sneaky because I'm just not hearing about him, so he could be a guy to where if you truly value him as a guard and you're one of those teams that really want to fix your offensive line and you don't think Bergeron is going to make it to the back of the second round, I can see Bergeron being a late first round guy. Not that he's better than any of those other guys, right? It's just that Bergeron can play tackle and can play guard for you. So if you're a team like, I don't know, like the Bengals or something that can use offensive line anywhere, you may be more likely to get a dude like that later in the first because you're not going to get him later in the second. DeJuan and Anton, those two dudes are true tackles. DeJuan Jones is the best tackle in this draft, in my personal opinion.
DeJuan Jones?
Yeah. But y'all ain't got to listen to me on that. But just based on what these boards are looking like, DeJuan, Anton, they're going to be guys that are going to be falling towards the middle of the second round or so.
Right. So if it's up to you, Vach, you would take DeJuan Jones. If it's Anton Harrison sitting there, DeJuan Jones, you think the best fit for the Cowboys would be DeJuan Jones over Anton Harrison?
Yeah. 100%. I just think DeJuan Jones is, everybody doesn't have an elite trait. Even guys even guys at the top of the board. Paris Johnson is a very complete high upside player, but he doesn't have an elite trait. Broderick doesn't have an elite trait. Skoronski doesn't have an elite trait. They're all very complete players. DeJuan Jones has elite length. Arm length gets him out of a lot of little jams. And people say, well, but Vash, he's 370 pounds. What about the quick twitchy dudes that's going to beat him? Show me the quick twitchy dudes that beat him. You know what I mean?
You can get around all of that.
Right.
And that's why I said if you hit right with DeJuan Jones, that's 8 to 10 years that you don't have to think about at tackle now. And we already know Tyron Smith, he's on his way out if things don't fall the way it's supposed to be this year. So that's why if I'm the Cowboys with the 26th pick, I'm drafting DeJuan Jones way over any of those tight ends that we just mentioned.
I mean, I like it, but Cowboys ain't gonna do that, man.
That's what I'm saying, y'all. Just looking at the board, like, and maybe we wrong, but I just don't see how some of these tight ends that everyone's listed could be rated over DeJuan Jones and possibly Anton Harrison. It's like there's gonna be so much value, and that's the thing about this draft. There's a lot of value just sitting there. It's it's not a sexy draft as the last 2 years, but it's just deep. You can really get what you need.
Man. I'm just telling you, man. Teams suck at drafting, bro.
I know teams are dudes. Trust me. What I've been hearing is the Houston Texans radio guy sitting next to me earlier. He's freaking out. He's freaking out because he's feeling like they either about to go with Will Levis or Will Anderson Jr. I like Will Anderson, but like he's freaking out because he pretty much said, bro, I can guarantee you we probably gonna pass on CJ Stroud. So
good. Good.
All it's going to take is for a few teams to get done, and we just going to have a plethora of options here available. Man, hold on, I got to get one of my guys in here. Man, he's actually outside the draft, man. My God, DMV, man, what's going on with you?
Hey, I got to split. I got to take this call. I'll jump back in.
Hold on, before I let you go, Law.
Let me get somewhere I can hear y'all, man, because I'm like in the thick of things. It's crazy out here.
All right, who's the pick at 26, Law?
All right, man. I said all of this, man. What I want is offensive line or defensive line. I want those two, but I'm gonna lean on the consciousness of what the Cowboys tend to do. Is going to be Michael Mayer. I think that is what it's going to be tonight. It's going to be with the 26th pick. The Dallas Cowboys select Michael Mayer. Hey, if it's Botch Lombardi's guy, Will McDonald, then hey, we're gonna have a party too, But at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be one of those. It's too much tight end talk. I hope it's all smoke screen.
I hope. All right, my guy. Appreciate you, Law, for jumping in,
man. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. All right, you got my guy DMV. Can you hear us?
Right.
He outside.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm good.
Yeah, man. So you outside, man. So tell everybody, because I was talking about, because you was there last year with me in Vegas, but also in Kansas City. Like, what's the experience that you feeling like between Vegas last year versus Kansas City this year? Now, granted, we ain't got no pool party here. You know what I'm saying? But
hey, this right here is way better than that one. I mean, it's more welcoming to the fans. Like, I mean, it's like right in the middle of a field, and it's just. It seems like it's way more people. And I've been to the one in Dallas, too. It's way more people.
Than Dallas. Yes. That's good, man. So it's good. So we're talking about the tight end debacle, the whole conversation going on today. I feel like it's a smoke screen. I know we talked about it earlier. You feel like it's a smoke screen. But, Vosh, let me ask you this, right? Because there's also the conversation of running back. Now, I don't believe Bijan's going to be within range for the Cowboys. Yeah. But would you go get Jamari Gibbs at 26, or would you hold off? And maybe because, like, this is a deep running back class. I mean, every day I'm finding a new running back that I like. Would you hold off on the Gibbs thing, or do you think that Bijan and Gibbs are the only two running backs that's really worth at 26?
I got to be just as phony with running back as I am with tight end, right?
Right. That's right.
Because at the end of the day, I do like Jahmyr Gibbs, but I mean, I like Musgrave, I like Kincaid. Just that first round, it doesn't make sense to me. So, with these luxury type picks, these running backs, these tight ends, I got to be the same level of phony. I love Jahmyr Gibbs, but like if Kendre Miller was my second running back, I'm happy with that dude. Like I'm so happy with Kendre Miller. I'm happy with Zach Evans, Dwight McBride. Like I'm happy with all those guys. So I just feel like And also too, the idea that Gibbs and Tony aren't exactly the same, but you don't want to bring in like redundancies with your running back group, So bring in a guy to complement Tony, or to bring in a guy that's going to be, that's going to beat Ronald Jones,
Mm-hmm.
So if it's up to me, man, with that first pick, it could be running back. But I want to go something that's a little more premium, So I'm looking for offensive line. I'm looking for pass rusher, corner if it's there. So yeah, I'm good on.
So Vach, when it comes to the running backs, like, are you looking for a Tony Pollard replacement? Or are you looking for something to kind of accompany Tony Pollard, like a more of a big? Because I think everyone's trying to feel like we need to replace the Zeke type back, but there's so many running backs that kind of fit that same mold of Tony Pollard. Whether it's like a Tajay Spear or Keaton Mitchell, like Devon A-Chain, like some of those like scat back guys, Deuce out of Kansas State, right?
Fun, yeah.
Are you looking for like a more of a big body workload back, or would you want to go with another scat back and then move on from Tony Pollard next year after we release the franchise tag?
I mean, if I can get two Tonys, then I'll take two Tonys because I mean, look, I'm being phony, but if Gibbs make it to 58, what am I lie again? Now you just snatch up Gibbs at 58, and then you're in this situation where, all right, we got Gibbs, we can let go of Tony, and we'll draft our big dude next year. Like that's how running back can typically go. That's how tight end can typically go. So for the first round, maybe the first 2 rounds, I'm keeping it money 5. I'm keeping it big value because I feel like I can find running back all over the place.
Feel you. DMV, bro, what's your thoughts on the Cowboys going to running back? Whether it's not Bijan, like I said, he's out the window, but would you consider taking Gibbs at 26?
I think that it really just depends on what our vision offense, and that's all.
You out. Hey, that Wi-Fi monster getting you, bro. That Wi-Fi monster getting you.
You said what? Can you hear me?
Just barely, man. You're cutting in and out, bro. It's probably because you no reception out there.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Because I might have had my finger. Okay, I had my finger over the microphone. Okay, so I was saying, like, it just depends on what Mike McCarthy envisions for this offense. Like, if you bring him in and you look at him as an Aaron Jones type of back, then I could definitely see him fitting in here. I don't have a problem with getting him at 26. I'll tell you that much. Would that be my first pick? No. But I think that what he offers as far as catching out of the backfield and his speed, I think that he can add some dynamic things to this offense. So, long story short, I'm okay with it. There's a whole bunch of guys I'm okay with. He wouldn't be my first choice, though.
Right, wouldn't be your first choice. So, Voss, let me ask you this, because I see some people mention the chat defensive tackle. Yeah. Would you consider, and this is the hard part for me, the Clemson guys, the Murphys, and also the Brian Breeses. Are you out on them?
Yeah.
I would be too.
Miles Murphy is, ever since I watched him day one, I just felt like he was a guy that was just going to slide in the draft because I just didn't see a top 10 type pick in him, we're here on draft day and that's looking like the case, so to speak. But if I'm going to get a defensive end, I would rather get a pass rusher, and look, Miles has upside to do all that stuff. I think he's more of a rundown guy, but I feel like we got run defensive ends. I think we got dudes that can do that. And if you're going to be a running defensive end, I'd rather get somebody like later that can really like do that. So like if it's up to me, I'm not getting Miles Murphy. Brian Breesy, I don't think he's good anymore. I think he's going through a lot physically, mentally also. I just, Breesy is just in any other draft, guys like Breesy typically go day 3, like, hey, we're not gambling no more. We're not shooting the dice no more. All right, we're taking all the problem guys, all the injury guys at the top of round 4. So you're not going to talk to me about a guy like Breesy. And typically how D tackle works, it kind of works like, left tackle or right tackle, right? You're either elite or you way at the bottom, or you not that good to me, right? So if you're gonna get like a true game-changing D tackle, it gotta be a Jeffrey Simmons type guy. It gotta be, like a Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen type guy that'll go way in the top of the draft. How many top-tier elite D tackles go into the 3rd round? So you're either gonna get one in the 1st round, or you're gonna get one of these run-stopping noses in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round. Anybody in the middle, I don't know how happy I could be about those guys, but there are guys like Benton is a guy that I like. Carl Brooks is a guy who stands up and plays edge for Bowling Green. I think he's more so of a 3-tech in real life. So it's guys. I just don't think that those guys are like truly game-changing elite guys.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like when it comes to defensive line, you have the Jalen Carters, you got the Tyree Wilson, the Will Andersons, and then it kind of gets it gets a little diluted right there in the middle, right? It's like, all right, I'm cool with them. Besides Will McDonald, and we talked about Felix Anundike out of Kansas State, but it just doesn't change much. We got another star in the building. If you guys need to drop off, man, like I said, I appreciate y'all for jumping on if you got to. But I got another star in the building, my brother, man, Rome. What's going on, bro?
What's goody?
Good, what up, bro? How you feeling, man? It's draft day, bro.
I'm feeling good. How y'all doing?
Good.
Life good, man.
We good.
Feeling good, bro.
So y'all feeling about
You ready to get your tight end, Rome? You ready to get your tight end?
Get Musgrave? Yeah, I'm ready to get upset.
Ain't gonna be no post game streams, man. You draft Luke Musgrave. We out of here.
I ain't trying to do no weekday drinking, man. I'm trying to keep it light.
Right. Yeah.
He trying to drive me crazy.
Just to be fair though, Musgrave, Kincaid, Mayer, they're not bad players. It's just the value that we don't like. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. It's like, and y'all know I love the tight end position, but it just didn't feel like But all this talk has just been kind of starting like from the Darnell Washington. It's been here all draft season. So,
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Ron.
Genuine question. If we didn't take him 26, don't y'all think Musgrave would be there later, or am I tripping? Or some of the other tight ends? Is every tight end gonna be wiped out before 58?
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
That's my point. I don't know what this stress, like, what's happening. Like,
I don't know.
That's why I think it's a lie, though, Ron, because there was this video that Jane Ashley Slater.
I saw it. I'm tapped in today.
And she was like, hey, they looking at Meyer, and they looking at Kincaid, and they looking at Musgrave, and if it go bad, they looking at LeBoy. I'm like, that ain't us. I'm like, that ain't my team. My team follows their board. My team don't overdraft at a position. My team kind of likes a guy and put a guy. My team never,
Jags.
My team never goes in saying, okay, well, we're going to get an offensive lineman. And if that dude ain't there, we're just going to get the next offensive lineman. My team don't do that. So I'm just at this point thinking that tight end is a lie. Plus, Musgrave don't block nobody. Kincaid don't block nobody. They are not. And so what Ron was saying, are there tight ends later? I think the Cowboys have position themselves to where they 30 visit linebackers at every level of this thing. So if Mayer's your first round guy, Darnell Washington may be your second round guy. Kincaid, Kraft may be your third round guy. If you miss all them, then Shoemaker right there, ready to block defensive ends for you. So I think the Cowboys have done too much due diligence on tight end to just bank it all and just cash it in at 26. That just doesn't make sense to me.
And that's what I was saying about Luke Musgrave. Like they didn't visit with him at the combine. He wasn't a 30, but they ain't talk the interview. They just gonna give him the job. You know what I'm saying? He only had 2 touchdowns, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like, coming off an injury, it just doesn't sound like Voch was saying.
Looking at it like this: if we get 26, and let's just say Sanders is there, Quentin Johnson is there, and I don't know, and McDonald is there. I just refuse to believe it. Like, you know what? I'm going Musgrave. I don't care who on the board. Like, that's what's driving me nuts. Because like, and I feel like at least 2 of those guys could be sitting there, and if we just throw caution to the wind, like, I don't care what talent is. Like, if Gibbs is sitting there too, and we're like, nope, I'm taking Musgrave. It's just like, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Yeah. Let's say the tight end talked and broke my man Boss's spirit. He's already prepared for it. Like I said, y'all, don't blame me for this, because this ain't what I've been asking for. This ain't what I've been asking for. You know what I'm saying?
If I had to bet, it's probably gonna be the dudes that the media talks about least. You know, because the Cowboys do not let secrets out. Mike McCarthy hate giving away a secret. Right?
Exactly.
So if I had to guess, it would be somebody that we're not talking about. Now we know they love Will McDonald.
Right.
They ain't really talking about it.
Right.
Like,
I think it's Will.
We know the Cowboys love Will.
Yeah.
The majority don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a popular name. So yeah, I agree, because we didn't. Y'all remember that year with Micah Parsons? They put out all them little pretty videos of them interviewing Pitts, and the list was going on and on. They took that Micah Parsons thing down. They ain't released nothing, right? There was no talks of it. Even last year with Tyler Smith, you heard nothing when it comes to Tyler Smith. So like,
I don't know how Mel Kiper. We don't know if it was a guess.
Right, he got lucky. He got lucky on that one, right? But it's like, so I just don't see the Cowboys being this loud with the tight end position and going to get it. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if they go tight end. Ron, we were talking earlier about the running back position. So I know Gibbs is your guy. So would you go and take Jamar Gibbs at 26?
Yeah.
Or you think that's still too early?
Yeah, you ain't got to even finish. Yes.
All right.
No, just because I keep hearing this whole narrative, you don't want to get two of the same thing, and it's driving me crazy. Like,
keep both up.
Because if we have Jahmyr Gibbs on our team in the playoffs, nobody will be complaining if Tony go down. And it's like, well, Gibbs going to shoulder the load. Like, I don't understand the thought process behind not having two talented weapons.
Right.
It's just crazy. I would take him in a heartbeat because he his skill set expands his offense. I am. Load up the clip.
Right.
So Rome. So like Gibbs or Darnell Wright for you? I'm good at this shit, Rome. Come on. Gibbs or Darnell Wright?
Yeah.
I might. Yo, you might have got me with that one. Just because I know what you can do with that line.
Yeah.
Right.
You can get Tank Bigsby, and I'll be just fine with Darnell Wright. So
right.
But it ain't no more. It ain't no more Darnell Wrights later in the. I gotta go with the value. You gotta go Darnell Wright.
Gibbs or Will McDonald.
I might go.
Man, Rome ain't for real about Gibbs.
Yeah. you don't love him. You like him. You gotta hesitate.
That's our range, though, Rome. That's our range. That's where we at. Yeah.
Right.
You want something that's gonna change the meal. Like I don't want like cornbread, and that's why I feel a tight end is. I feel like that just adds to the meal.
Yeah.
You had the right pass rusher. Our pass rush so vicious. The whole meal different.
One sec, y'all. My guy DMV got to jump. So DMV, before I let you go, bro, who's your pick at 26?
Will McDonald. I think Will McDonald is the guy. I think for everything that Bot said, I just think everything's lining up for it to be Will McDonald. And honestly, if you think about it, at 26, that person's more than likely, unless it's a guard, going to be a backup. And I think that this is a pick for the future, and he's a guy that's going to help us down the road.
Right. Facts. My guy, I appreciate you, man. Enjoy yourself out there.
One more point, too, on the whole Will McDonald thing. The Cowboys 30 visits, right? They worked out a lot of tight ends and a lot of receivers, a couple running backs, a lot of linebackers. Will McDonald was really the only edge dude that we're really talking about. Right. So in my mind, he's a guy that you're going to take at the top, or you're just not pressed to take edge at all. You know, so that's maybe another reason why I think
people forgetting how loud Dan Quinn's voice is. That's his boy. His voice is loud, and he's like, if his boy is there, he's gonna be like, "Hey, y'all."
Yeah. I mean, Dan Quinn came back, so he definitely gonna have a voice, like you said, Ron, to make that decision. So, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, the big names that a lot of people are talking about, I don't believe it's gonna be there, but I feel like Will McDonald
or Will McDonald, Tuck.
For me, it'll be Drew.
I already know what. Like I watched the interview. I already know where you leading.
I'm biased, man. I'm all in, bro.
You already sold, but rightfully so. Like I like Will McDonald, but I just think
like him more.
I can just vision the chess piece with Drew Sanders a little bit more than I can vision, with Will McDonald, because he's gonna be straight come out the edge guy versus you have Micah, like I said, the White Lion and Drew Sanders all over the board, can in the dirt, standing up, A gap, B gap, mixing them all up. That could be something that Dan Quinn can definitely utilize. So, Vash, before I let you go, my guy, unless you got time, you can say kick it. We got about 20 more minutes. We're gonna be doing this show here.
I got five. Let's do it.
I got 5 on it. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and ask you this: like, what are some sleeper names that we could probably hear? Because you mentioned they typically hide their hands. What could be a guy where we all sitting back like, damn, I didn't see that coming, and the Cowboys make that pick today?
For the Cowboys?
Okay. Yeah, for the Cowboys. Yeah, for the Cowboys.
And we just talking about day one.
Just day one. We sitting back, boards kind of falling, but then it's a guy that they've been tucking the entire time right in front of our face.
I sent some text to some friends, and y'all probably been hearing this too, but Mozzie is a guy that I think could be close to that conversation, and as also interesting too, because I haven't been hearing much about Mozzie from the big media guy, but I don't know, J Tuck, it just seems like the underground people just kind of get the scoops around here. I don't know, but I just been hearing Mozzie, and if it's Mozzie, then that'll be a surprise to me. That'll be a surprise. It'll be welcoming though, but
that helps.
But it'll be pretty hard. It'll be pretty hard for us to get wiped out like that. I don't think we're ever in a situation where we're totally wiped out. In real life, I do think Mayer and Kincaid are going to be gone. I think it's a possibility that Musgrave is going to be gone. So it's really come. I don't think Laporte is an option. I think it's really coming down to somebody on D line or somebody on O line. That's why I think the conversation is really going to be. So if I had to guess, Drew Sanders, Will McDonald, Mozzie, and best guard available type guy. So we'll see.
All right, my guy Vachman, I'm about to let you go. I'm put you on record. What's your pick? Is it Will McDonald?
Hell yeah, man. We're gonna benefit the hell out of this.
That interview gonna do numbers. They never gonna do numbers.
I'm Team Mingo. I just wanted Vosh to know I'm Team Jonathan Mingo now.
See, look, I was ready to vouch for him, but you know what I'm saying? Jay Tuck said round one. So if it's round one, I ain't gonna say Mingo.
I know we will talk about it, but I'm Team Mingo. I hope we get him.
Day 2, Mingo or Tillman's got to be one of them. Cowboys love those guys. Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, appreciate you.
Deserved.
All right, let me add my guy Vach. My guy Vach is out, man. Let me go ahead and add.
Boss came in looking mad.
Oh,
dog. You feel me, bro? You feel me?
Boss fed up already. We didn't do nothing.
Yeah. All right, boss, what's going on,
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready now for the disappointment. I'm over.
Let me add this dude, man. I see him backstage. My guy Darren Smith pressing buttons, man.
What guys see? Hey, my man.
Yeah, he back there pressing buttons, man. We ain't doing the Chiefs draft show right now.
That's why I'm trying to. Hey, that's the reason I was trying to put that banner back there. I don't know what's what now. So
that's clean. That's clean though. But yo, my guy Boss, man. So we've been talking about a few things, right? Been hearing these rumors. And I know, you're not trying to hear no tight end talk. But do you think it's a smokescreen, Boss, or do you think there's some legitimacy when it comes to the Cowboys drafting the tight end at the 26th pick? And like I said, Boss, it ain't my fault.
I think it's legit. That's what I'm prepared for. Just kind of, obviously you keep your ear to the ground. You do a great job of covering Kansas City as well as the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've always kind of hung my hat on was the fact that coming out of the combine, what did Bobby Belt say? He said the biggest talk that was going on was corner, receiver, and tight end. Mm-hmm. And remember, right after coming back from the combine, that's when we first started hearing about Mayer. It was the first time. So I think what's going on is that, obviously, when all the guys come together for the combine, they get a chance to kind of, see who the scouts talking to. They kind of bumping into them, rubbing elbows like y'all doing right now. I mean, the fact that y'all out there, y'all getting so much firsthand information that we not getting, right? So when you networking like that, I think people kind of came out with those tea leaves and they've been kind of pinning that on us because they saw real interest from the combine.
Yeah, I agree. And then we got my guy Darren Smith, man. Y'all see my guy looking sharp, man.
Yeah, y'all want to clean his whistles. Lord have mercy.
Hey, fella, if you don't know, I got a brand, so I have to look like this.
Hey, so I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story about Darren. So I'm actually here. I'm at Union State. So I ain't gonna put you out. But he came up to drop off some equipment to me real quick. We had on a hoodie and everything. People like, man, Darren, what you doing? He's like, oh, man, this is just my pregame outfit. Like, I ain't seen that today. I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all know Darren steps out drip, man. But welcome to the show. So we're doing the CFO pre-show tonight. But tonight I will be live with my guy, Darren Smith. He's going to be out at Arrowhead. He's also there on location on 18th and Vine. But we're going to be breaking down the NFL draft. We're going to have a lot of interesting guests. But I'm going to ask you, because you're a Chiefs guy. He's a Chiefs guy. He's one of the best insiders when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So just looking from the outside, Darren, and tread with caution, because we got a lot of Cowboys fans watching this. What do you think would be the biggest need for the Dallas Cowboys as we enter this draft, the 26th pick?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Though I cover the Chiefs, the Cowboys growing up were my favorite team. I mean, I still got my Emmitt Smith jersey from high school now. That's a long time ago.
Come on back.
Hey, hold on. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. The thing that hurt me with the Cowboys was those 8-8 seasons with Jason Garrett. It took y'all forever to fire that man. So I'm trying, and look, and Jordan will tell you, and my brother will tell you too. When they got Dak and they got Zeke, you know what I'm saying? I was, oh man, first of all, Daren, but I ain't gonna hold that against you, Sadiq. But I'll say this, man, when they came on as rookies, man, I was pulling for Chiefs Cowboys, man, because look, that 13-3 team was good, man. But Aaron Rodgers had other ideas and the kicker had other ideas. But I tell you, seeing the biggest need, I'm a big proponent of, especially for Dak. Give the man as many offensive weapons as possible, and I think in that because of that, I say you go with the tight end if the best tight end is still available for him. You can say wide receiver, but and now for some reason if Bijan Robinson falls all the way down, which I don't think that'll happen, you snatch him up. Saying with no reservation. If not, obviously we don't know the situation if they're going to try to bring Zeke back on the minimum deal, but there are some good running backs out there still, Kareem Hunt, but we'll just have to wait and see. But to be honest, I think if I'm the Cowboys, I go in the direction of tight end because I think their defense is stealth as it is, man. The defense is good. So.
Yeah, I agree. And Ron, I'm gonna kick this back to you, bro. Like, wouldn't you think, as of right now, the way the roster currently stands, that the wide receiver position could be more of a quote unquote priority than tight end? Or I also pose this question because we're hearing the Dalton Kincaid, and boss, I'm gonna kick this over to you too as well. We're hearing the Dalton Kincaid. We're also hearing the Luke Musgrave. Could it be that since this year's class got these little smaller type wide receivers, that they're viewing them as much as like a wide receiver as far as the grading? So would you consider going the tight end like a Dalton Kincaid over some of these other wide receivers? But what's your thoughts on that?
Is boss gonna go or
you go ahead, Ron? You go ahead, Ron.
I'm just looking at it like this. The amount of tight end depth in this draft to leave certain positions that might not be as deep on the board when you have a chance to get one. That's the thing that just doesn't make sense to me. It's not that I'm not saying don't go get a tight end within the first 3 rounds. Find a tight end, that's fine.
Right.
But to be able to get a player that can literally shift the actual team is kind of mind-boggling to me. We seen what having a lack of wide receiver depth look like in the playoffs.
Right.
We can't go, okay, we're set at receiver. We one twisted ankle away from revisiting last year.
Right.
We need to shore up that position legitimately. And as much as I got faith in Michael Gallup returning to form a full year and a half removed from that injury, I need insurances. So if Quentin Johnston's on the board, you don't hesitate.
Right.
That's just my thought process. As much as you want to get, is there how big of a gap between Laporta and Musgrave or Kincaid? Is it like a chasm? Because it's a big gap between Quentin Johnston and some of those receivers you might get in the 3rd and 4th round.
Right. Yeah. So boss, let me kick this over to you. Like, do you feel like either wide receiver or tight end would just be a need? Like, did you walk out of that 49ers game feeling like, man, if we had a better tight end, that would have changed things? But I know I walked out of it thinking, damn, if I had some better wide receivers, that would change things. But we did address it with the addition of Brandon Cooks, and you might get a healthy Michael Gallup. But what's your thoughts as far as the Cowboys board could be constructed? Like, do you see like Dalton Kincaid being ranked over a Quentin Johnston? I just don't see it. Maybe,
and Mac, any of them, to be all the way honest with you, any of them, because I'm trying to evolve on tight end. I'm giving it a chance. I'm trying to maintain openness on the position itself, but I think it's losing its value. I think what's happening is, like Mike Mayer talked about this when he did the interview with 105.3 The Fan, and he talked about over the last 10 years, linebackers basically gotten leaner, smaller. But why? Like, what really happened? So what really happened is obviously you had Whitney and Olsen and a lot of those guys, when they start really going, they start eating up the leads. You had to counter that. And it's a copycat league. So what we start doing, we start getting small at the linebacker position. Look at what we're doing. We're putting safeties down there in the box.
Right.
We do it. So that's what they're doing now to counter those mismatched tight ends, and I think it's working. So, but it's no real answer for an elite receiver, in my opinion. So in terms of the value of the position between the two, I'm leaning on wide receivers. I'm watching the league kind of morph into something else.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, because we went back and forth with the whole Michael Mayer situation, right? Yeah. And it's like I wasn't beating the table. I wouldn't like the Pitts train was a lot different, right?
Yeah, that's a different athlete.
Yeah, that was because he's kind of quote unquote more of a wide receiver / just a inline tight end, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to Michael Mayer, it was just like, all right, I'm not beating the desk for it, but I understand what the appeal could be if you're not sold on Hendershot and Ferguson, because he fit. Like I said, if the Cowboys ever have a type, Michael Mayer's the type. Like he just looks the type. Go ahead.
It's as simple as this. You think about what the defensive coordinator, what the defense thinks. If you run out on the field with Brandon Cooks, Kincaid, and CeeDee Lamb, and you're game planning, how much fear does that cause in your heart? You run on the field with Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Quentin Johnston. It's a different type of a defensive scheme. It just is. As much as Kincaid is great, if you run those 3 receivers out there, and God forbid you run Gallup out there too, you have to figure out how to stop that. If Kincaid's out there, you can probably zone it to where he got to make an exceptional catch. You can't just let Quentin Johnston and Brandon Cooks be on the same field. It's too much speed.
Let me ask one question, if I can, Jordan. So, with the situation with Tony Pollard, if he's not 100% to start the season, and I know you are talking about these wide receivers, you kind of make the Cowboys a little one-dimensional to where you don't really have a running game, so to speak. So, wouldn't that put more pressure on Dak? And because now the defense know that you can't run the football, or you're not going to run the football because you got so many, because you don't have a running game, you got the running backs. Don't you think it's going to be maybe a little bit easier to defend against Dak Prescott? And that
Boss, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I mean, we got to let the draft play out because we looking not so sure right now running back. But after that's a question I would probably reserve to after the draft so that we can kind of see how we kind of really came out of this.
Got you.
But as of now, if we was playing tomorrow, you're right.
Absolutely, he's right.
Yeah, you're right. Like if we started the season, we will have to lean on Dak on. You know, and so that's what Cowboy fans we got question on is what's going to be the identity of this offense, and that's what the first pick is going to signify the most. Fair or not, we gonna take it like that. We gonna take it as a signal of the direction of our offense. It's one thing that is kind of encouraging on tight end because I don't want to be the Debbie Down. I want to look at it half full too. If we do go tight end, especially if we go with a certain type of tight end, that's gonna signal that we are going in the new direction of our offense. We just unclear what that is.
Yeah,
and I'll say this to
go ahead.
Darren's point.
Go ahead,
just to solidify, I have faith that they see that there's a gap there. They know that Tony still needs time to recover, and whether we address it later in the draft 3 or 4 with Zach Evans or Charbonnet or one of those later running backs. I like Tank Bigsby myself, stuff like that, or we do got to realize there's another part of the offseason that's coming up, that post June 1st. Things get a little bit froggy with free agents. So we always keep a little bit of money hanging around because that's Stephen Jones' favorite time of year. It's like Christmas. So we will get another veteran or two. We have the last couple of years to shore up this team. So we'll let our board fall where it may. I trust their draft process. And I think that whatever we're missing, if we need one, there'll be a veteran back out there that we'll be able to add to this, but I think that they're going to grab a back. I have no doubt sometime in this draft.
I agree. Like Ball said, like if we started today, right, I'd be concerned about our running backs because Darren, you're familiar with Ro Jones, because he played here in Kansas City, and so they
what? And I'm sorry, I did forget. He did sound what you all said. That's a great pickup for you all as well.
Oh, he was. Yeah. Okay, so you co-signing it kind of like a sleeper.
Oh yeah. No,
wow.
Hey, Ro Jones. Good guy, man.
Look.
Hey,
we got the Oya on that.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something, man. In Kansas City this past season, man, it was just too many. Mahomes just had too many weapons, man. I mean, and that was a beautiful thing to where it was hard to really double anyone outside of Kelsey because you never knew where the hell he was going to throw the ball.
I appreciate you saying that.
So,
me too.
I really appreciate you saying that.
Right? Because
a lot of people ready to say that he fell off.
No. Look, man. First of all, it was look. Yeah, Clyde. It was hilarious. Obviously, they brought him in. You had Jake McKinnon, and they drafted the kid from Rutgers, and so it's just one of those things, man. Just it's not enough balls to go around, and and the thing is, they didn't want to give him a chance in Tampa. Look, for whatever happened down there, it is what it is. But him coming to Kansas City, he played his role. He never once complained. You're not gonna have a locker room malcontent or anything like that. The guy is a professional, and he's gonna do his job. And when he gets the opportunity, he's gonna run with it. So I assure you, if he stays healthy, you all got a great pickup.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you, Darren, one quick question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Curse was kind of like that guy where he was in a deep room in Minnesota, where he really couldn't play, where it tricked our fans, being all the way honest, because we looked at him like a jag. It was hard to have faith in him. Would you comp him to kind of like a Curse in terms of value, where he was in a deep room, but now he might get his opportunity and re-explode?
And who's this again? You kind of
Curse. Curse, the safety for the Dallas Cowboys, that he came on the scene. To us, we love him.
Mm-hmm.
We love him, but it's almost that same situation. So if you're familiar with Curse, I was trying to see if you saw a forecast of Jones really being real active behind us.
Honestly, I don't know enough about Curse to I can speak for Rojo just because of what I saw this past year and covering him, and talking to him after the games and after the Super Bowl. So that's I can just go from from that experience. And so I just say that if given the opportunity, especially if Tony Pollard's not healthy as a start of training camp or preseason the games, if Rojo gets that opportunity, I don't think it's going to be much fall off at all. And I mean, that's just keeping it 100.
Yeah. Salute to my guy Smoke One, man. He's in another super chat for $10. Appreciate you, bro. Says, I'm sorry, man. We were sleeping on Josh Wiley and some of these late round tight ends, man. I'm telling you, I mean, what round did Kelsey and Kittle come from? So don't reach on the tight end again. So let me ask you this, Darren, because you know better than any of us can ever tell you. Like, when people say they want a Travis Kelsey, like that ain't easy to find. But what does Travis Kelsey like really mean to the Chiefs offense? Like, because I think people they want the next thing, but it's just like Travis Kelsey does a lot of it's just
that's a big ass.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, look, it's interesting because sometimes the Chiefs find these players are athletes that are one-on-one. Kelsey's one-of-one just because of his size. Him being, as we like to say, being able to wiggle his hips and stuff like that, to where you can't never really get a good hit on him. I mean, that's been Gronk's injury. Gronk would try to run people over. Hell, Kelsey feel like, look, he got a honey. He got to get you later on that evening. So he ain't trying to, he ain't trying to be in no pain. So I have to give credit where credit's due. You all with the Will McClay, you all have an excellent scouting department. So I can't, and the Chiefs, to their credit, they do as well. So the Cowboys and the Chiefs, I think they have the most Pro Bowl players that they've drafted out of the NFL over the last decade or so. So I just think it really just falls back to your scouting department and how you all, I guess where you're trying to find what you're looking for your quarterback. If it is the tight end, I don't know. Because look, I don't know what they see because the Chiefs drafted they got Jody Fortson, and Jody Fortson was a 6'6" wide receiver. But somehow, some way, they was like, man, let's put this kid at tight end. So now you got a 6'6" tight end to go along with a 6'5" tight end. And when they're healthy, I mean, you have to be creative and not only what you're seeking, but utilizing the players that you draft or sign in the Chiefs, and that's one of the things that work in their favor that they've been able to do.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Ron.
I'll just say this. I'll challenge every Cowboys fan to do this. I know we want a tight end, or the media is making us mentally want a tight end.
They do it. They do it more. They force it harder than I ever been.
The cupboard ain't as bare as everyone's making it seem. Like, if Dalton Schultz can find his way in this league, I have no doubt that Peyton Hendershot and Jake Ferguson have a place in this league. I'm not saying they're about to grow into Travis Kelsey, but I do trust, I trust a chef's thought process when it comes to know how to cook food, and I trust a all-pro tight end's thought process when it comes to pointing out good talent. And he mentioned my tight ends by name, and he was not provoked to do it. So Travis Kelsey sees a little something in those guys. I don't think we should just ball them up and throw them in the trash.
And and let me say this, and then I'll let you all do. The thing is that it's not even trying to find another Travis Kelsey. It's up to your play callers to put those tight ends or those players in position so they can be, saying the Jay Novacek or the other tight end that you all have. So, to me is don't worry about Kansas City. Don't worry about Travis Kelsey. Seriously. If Mike McCarthy does his job as the OC/head coach, then if he puts those players in the position to succeed, everything else is going to work out for itself. That's why, I tell you all the time, I love the off season, whether it's the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl or losing the Super Bowl. My thing is, what are you doing in the off season to better yourself or to combat, to whoever the Super Bowl champion is, to do what you need to do to overtake them if you meet up with them. And so, perfect example, when Kansas City lost to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, the entire world saw on a national stage their offensive line was decimated. What did they do? They rebuilt the offensive line in that offseason. They should have ran it back in the Super Bowl, but of course they lost to Cincinnati. But they did what they needed to do. They drafted defensive players in last year's draft pick. With Karl Loftus and McDuffie, and we saw what happened this year. When they got a chance to play Cincinnati again, and we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. They didn't give up a sack against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's
say that one more time. Say that one more time.
They didn't give up any sacks against the
I appreciate y'all for that real quick.
Yeah. So I say that to say that man. There's a lot of moving parts that take place, but to me, I think it starts with the scouting department and the head coach, and just putting players in position to succeed. And if you do that, I'm telling you, man, I like the Cowboys. I like messing with Jordan a lot about him, but look, man, the Cowboys are near and dear to my heart. I want you all to succeed because, my brother's a Cowboy fan too, so I want a Chiefs Cowboys Super Bowl because that would just tear Vegas up next year.
Right. Don't threaten me with a good time.
I want to say also one more thing that's kind of encouraging about tight end, because I know we've been down on tight end, and people can get a bad rap on us because we are critical, right? So we critical out of love,
right?
So there, Daniel Jeremiah, he mocked Luke Musgrave to the Dallas Cowboys. People went crazy, but hear me out. Now, hear me out. I wrote a book about these guys. He number 4 on my tight end list. And he was number 4 on my tight end list before he posted that mock.
Right.
And this is my note on him because I look for a certain type. It's not just tight end. I look for somebody that I thought fit Dak. And I said, despite missing his last year due to injury, Luke Musgrave stands out as an exciting tight end in a less impressive class. Although his production may be limited, his remarkable athleticism and genetic abilities are evident. Coaches will recognize these qualities and be eager to take advantage of them. As an athlete, Luke Musgrave is Jermichael Finley-ish. You know what I mean? So if we kind of reverse engineered this and said which one of us would not like a young Jermichael Finley, we would all say we would take him at 20.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's how Mike McCarthy used him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I'm preparing for tight end, but if it's tight end, if it's him, I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna be like, oh, cool, because I already see the vision of what Mike McCarthy would be doing with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just looking at it. If Musgrave's on the board, but you staring Gibbs in the face and Johnson in the face, it's hard for me to just be like, you know what? Because I know you say you got a vision for him. There's no way you can't say I ain't got no vision for Quentin Johnson. I don't know what to do with that.
Right.
I don't understand that.
Right. Right. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Facts. Hold on, boss. I know my guy Darren got to go real quick before we jump on the show. So, Darren, I'll put you on the spot from your lens. Okay. 26, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Who is the pick?
Man, I'm telling you, it's going to be who's the best available is left. I mean, again, look, I have a strong feeling, man, that the Eagles are going to if Bijan Robinson's there, I think they're going after him.
Me too. I think they're going to get him.
And Tuck knows, we talked to him yesterday. I mean,
good kid.
Man, if he goes there, that's
he gonna do 1,600.
Yeah. Oh, easily. I would go with a tight end. Look, for me, like it's just as I mentioned before. I just think you gotta strengthen your strength. I think the defense is on point. The defense is fine. So Dan Quinn got all his weapons, and you'll still be able to build, as you gentlemen said, post draft or whatever to see what's available out there. Obviously, training camp, who gets cut, stuff like that. So, but from tonight, I would either look at another wide receiver or tight end. But granted, because you've got CD, I don't know how strong his mental makeup is if you draft another wide receiver in the first round because Cats be Cats be weak. Yeah, man, they get weak mentally when it comes to stuff like that. So I'd probably go with the tight end.
All right. Well, that's my guy.
Can I ask Darren one quick question?
Go ahead.
Darren, how do y'all have 50 picks every year?
How do we have what?
Kansas City, how do y'all have like 100 picks every year?
They got a whole bunch of picks.
Y'all move down every year. Like, I looked at y'all draft last year.
I can answer that because they actually got some value for a trade. They wide receiver like the Cowboys.
Well, yeah, that part too. But here's the other thing too, man. Again, man, we don't mind. I say the Chiefs don't mind, utilizing those fifth and sixth. Here's the other thing too. this is what the Chiefs do because of how Patrick's contract is structured.
Yeah.
And look, they haven't publicly come out and said it, but if you smart, if you wise like I am, you kind of know the game and you kind of see where things are going. You can, if you hit on these draft picks, which the Cowboys have been doing well, and the Chiefs have done well, you can maximize the talent for cheap because you got them on a rookie deal for 4 or 5 seasons. And so while you're paying Patrick all this money and Chris Jones and Frank Clark and Tyrann Matthew, now Justin, you bring certain players in to fit certain roles and you pay them that money. You got these other players that you're drafting. You're mixing them in. I mean, like Pacheco was running with the first team first day of training camp. He was working with the first team. So when you got players like that are mixing in with the veterans and they're playing in the preseason with these starters, by the time the game starts, the regular season, first few games, when the lights are bright, they're not afraid of it because they know what's expected of them. Plus, the Chiefs have always said that they prepare their backups to be starters anyway. So if somebody goes down, they expect to move right in, without any hesitation. So you don't have enough time to be shocked by the bright lights. It just doesn't happen here. So that's and like I said, and the fact that they can utilize these players, because if you look at the 2019 draft, both McCole Hardman and Juan Thornhill, those were the top 2 picks. They're somewhere else now because the Chiefs feel like now you got Sky Moore, and you got Justin Ross and potentially some of these other players on a small rookie deal. That's where your money's going. So.
Appreciate it. All right, my guy Darren, man, go get you a break because we got a long night here coming up here in a second, man. So,
and if you fellas can join us a little bit later on, we'll be more than welcome to have you.
All right, my guy, see you soon. Yep. All right, Rome, 26. Cowboys are on the clock. Who's the pick?
All right. I got to slide after this because I got to get these.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I got to go eat too. I got to go eat food.
26 on the board. I've had to narrow down today because I was between Gibbs, Johnston, Anderson, and why is he Will McDonald? I feel like it's one of them. I refuse to. Last time I seen us doing this when we was like, we taking a corner no matter what.
Right.
Michael Parsons showed up.
Right.
So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? This whole we taking a tight end, I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
It could be the 9th tight end. We taking him at 26. I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I say because it's funny because like they were talking about tight end this morning, and I was like, damn, y'all knocking Luke Musgrave. Y'all can't get Sam Laporta no love, and then James Slater came out and was like, Sam Laporta. And I'm like, yeah, put the whole list out there.
Yeah, we're at 6. We're at our 6th tight end now. Washington, Laporta, Kincaid, Mayer, Musgrave.
Chuck, let's be honest.
Yeah, they overdo
You got a down tight end by now, though. At least, dog. Like from a position, bro. Because look, they reaching everywhere, dog.
I just this is not how the Cowboys.
These all can't be 26.
I was just saying, like, okay, not you, Chuck. Let me put it
right. But it's
anybody right now that trust the media scouts. This is why we say you might as well do your own homework.
Yeah, man, because they just throwing anything out there.
They just throwing anything out there. Like at this point, it's disrespectful.
Well, and salute to my guy Skywalker. He said that this morning on A to Z. He was like, I get it. I spoke to Daniel Jeremiah yesterday, right? They have 32 NFL teams to go. So they look at, we lost Dalton Schultz, Cowboys need a tight end. Simple, right? But we're able to go deep to layers. That ain't even how we get down, bro. It's not. That's not how we get down.
Not this nation.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not how we get down. So that's why
they haven't watched our tight ends. They don't think there's anything there.
Right. And so y'all know me. If there was tight end smoke, I'll be at the party. You know what I'm saying?
I know, man. You love you some tight end, man.
They party without me. I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you got a tight.
I'm just like asking who gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Before I go. So it's just like I just don't. I would be shocked if it's this loud. And all of a sudden, the car gun comes in and it's Dalton Kincaid. Like,
you know what I'm going with?
That would be new. So, go ahead. Who's your pick, Ron?
Because I really think they might go Mingo in the 2nd round, or one of them, or Tillman, one of them bigger receivers.
Right.
So, I think it might be not Anderson. Why did I say Anderson?
McDonald. You saying
no?
McDonald?
The white line.
Oh, Drew Sanders.
I feel like it might be Drew Sanders.
Drew Sanders.
I feel like he got the look, and it's mainly, first of all, he got DFW roots.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Denton Ryan. Yeah.
And especially if Philly get Bijan.
Right.
You know, and you know what? And my sleeper, I'll give you one sleeper because this is chess, not checkers.
Right.
They get Bijan, we really might be like, and if they get Bijan and Kancey or Mozzie's on the board, they might take one because they might just say we got to load up.
We got to counter that.
Right. Yeah.
So if Mozzie, like Mozzie might not get picked, if they don't get Bijan, they get Bijan. We might take.
We might get Mozzie. Right.
That's a good point, Ron. Because remember, even though we didn't get him that's kind of went into that Tyler Smith move last year. They got Jordan Davis. They like I said, because I was sitting in here last year and the wall started shaking. I was like, oh, God. You know what I'm saying? So
Mozzie Smith though, with our linebacker,
I'm gonna be mad.
Right.
So to counter B, and see, I think that's what people, in my opinion, we got to understand. Like Jared wasn't lying when he said his wards at 26. Like that's just honest. Like I said today at the barbershop, somebody gonna be mad, guaranteed today.
Right.
Yeah. If we don't move up, it's gonna be some angry people. Somebody gonna be mad about Mad, Will, tight end, receiver. Somebody gonna be mad.
Right.
But look, you know how we keep talking about another pass rusher will help Micah Parsons? A DT that can literally have us not like they can literally hold that middle down will help Micah too. I hate every time I watch a quarterback step up, I get irritated.
Right.
so if we got a true DT, that's 3-4 more sacks right there just because they can't step up no more.
Right. All right, boss. I'm gonna put you on the clock.
Okay,
26. Who's the pick?
I think based on the word that's coming out, I'm gonna say Will McDonald just because
Will McDonald.
It gets loud. It gets loud at the end. Like we know the pattern of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Like we was hearing Tyler Smith the last day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the word was already out by this time last year. So I think it will be Will McDonald, and I think the fans are ready for Will McDonald because a lot of people have already. Just real talk, like because of us. And then like I said my piece on it. I know that in my opinion, I think it would be a futures pick. I don't really see it, and I know on Vach's show, shout out to Vach, that they came out and said that Dan Quinn is looking at him to be like a Micah Parsons, but that's easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
You know what I mean? It's like really only one Micah, and then it's also you got to know Dan. Like we know Dan. Dan does that.
Right.
He put Neville Gallimore at the 9.
Right.
He put LVE at the 9.
Yeah.
And I understand the mad sciences behind what he does. Nobody would have ever believed that Bennett could do it unless he tried it with Seattle. So he's going to experiment. So when he say stuff like that on the interview that Vox did, people running with it.
Right.
But let's be honest, he go right back down to that G end.
Right.
When you use your common sense and not try to act like Dan Quinn is so musically genius that he's gonna turn him to a Micah Parsons.
And it's like that's a small percentage when he's gonna be doing that. Only Micah moves around that much.
Only Micah, and then it's like, do you really think Will McDonald can go into that interior and do what Michael does? No,
it's not really
like that. Common sense say no. Now
Anders probably can.
Who?
In the interior?
I've seen him do it. No, I've seen him do it. Yeah, in the splash. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
in the interior.
Because he was an edge rusher at Alabama. He's an edge rusher at Alabama. So
and then I had to think about it. I saw the flash. I saw it happen. So if I didn't see it happen, I wouldn't believe it from his frame. But yeah, if you look at his film, you're right, bro.
All right. So
I think Bijan Robinson will make us think defense. I don't know who, but defense gonna pop in our mind if Bijan gets selected by them dudes.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So we got Will McDonald, and Will McDonald seems to be the new favorite, and it makes sense, right? Because like I'm not buying the tight end smoke. Will McDonald makes sense. I would not be surprised if okay, yeah, that makes sense. But for me, it's 26. The Cowboys are on the clock. My pick, Quentin Johnson out of team, bro. Let's go ahead. I feel like the most hated prospect in this draft coming to the most hated team with the most hated quarterback. It's a perfect fit. Let's turn up. But my guys, I appreciate it for coming on.
Thank you,
I ain't gotta tell everybody where they can find you, but go ahead, Ron. Let everybody know where they can find you real quick.
Hey man, it's your boy Mr. Ron. You can find me at Cowboys Fan Talk on YouTube, Cowboys_Fan Talk on Twitter. I appreciate you, Tuck, man. I'm looking forward to the night. It's gonna be a good night for the Cowboys. I'm gonna just put that in the atmosphere.
I'm ready. And my guy Boss, man, let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, Boss Cowboy Sports on all the platforms where your voice matter, and let's get it, man. Let's go. We gonna enjoy this tonight anyway.
It's
My
gonna be
last
fun.
verse is this: we don't even need the draft running back.
Right.
So
Facts.
So let's just enjoy it.
Exactly. Enjoy it and support it. Whoever they draft, just support it. Let's get behind it because, like Boss said, we in a good situation.
Yeah,
and y'all, if you're watching right now, don't leave. I'm going to take a quick break. I got to get some food because it's going to be a long night. Me and my guy Darren Smith going to be right back on here talking to all NFL teams. But I had to get my Cowboys content. They about to Chiefs me to death here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? They about to Chiefs me to death. But y'all know I had to come and talk some Cowboys, man. So I appreciate all my brothers for joining in. Everybody in the chat, all the super chats. It's draft day. We finally made it. Let's have a good one. I want everyone to be safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
All right.